Hey everyone, and welcome to This Explainer. I am absolutely thrilled you're joining me today. If you're the kind of person who loves figuring out how the universe works in a highly structured, logical, and clear way, well, you are in exactly the right place. Today, we're setting the stage for a really fascinating scientific investigation into how we actually make sense of everything around us. We're going to look at the exact framework scientists use to take the beautiful, chaotic mess of the natural world and organize it into clean, understandable categories. Let's get into it. To kick things off, I want to throw a slightly tricky question your way. Is a cloud a living thing? Now take a second to really think about it. You might actually be tempted to say yes, right? I mean, if you watch the sky, you can clearly see that a cloud moves across the horizon, and it even grows and changes shape over time. And honestly, this is exactly what often tricks people. Movement and growth can so easily fool us into thinking something is alive. But as you'll see, finding the scientific truth requires a bit more of a rigorous checklist. Section 1. Thinking like a scientist, sorting the chaos. Okay, let's dive into this. When scientists look at the world, they use a specific type of scientific inquiry called identifying and classifying. It's kind of like dumping a massive box of assorted puzzle pieces onto a table. It's totally overwhelming at first. So to sort out our messy world, scientists classify things into specific groups based on their shared traits. And when we start sorting, comparing extremes is hands down the easiest place to start. Think about a magnificent roaring tiger versus a sleek metal and glass laptop. It's immediately obvious to us that the tiger is a living thing and the laptop is a human-made object that has never lived. Grouping these extremes is a total breeze, and it helps us establish the outer boundaries of our scientific categories. But what about things in nature that act like they're alive? Picture a beautiful, flowing stream bubbling over the rocks. Water flows, it moves rapidly, it literally changes the landscape. Similarly, think of a fire. It moves, it consumes things, it gets bigger. But here's the catch. Movement alone doesn't make something alive. That tiger we mentioned, it needs air to breathe, water to drink, and suitable food to survive. The stream and the fire, they don't need nutrition or air to stay alive, so they firmly belong in the category of things that have never lived. Section 2. The tricky middle category, not just black and white. Now, if we grouped everything strictly into just two categories, like just living and never lived, it would leave a pretty glaring gap in our scientific system. The world isn't just black and white. For instance, where exactly does a cooked fish on a dinner plate belong? I mean, it certainly isn't alive right now, but to say it never lived, like a plastic toy or a rock, well, that's completely false. So this busts the whole binary myth and reveals that we desperately need a special third category, things that were once alive. This category captures absolutely everything that used to be a living thing or was part of something that was living, but is no longer alive. What's really fascinating here is the exact moment this category shift happens. Think about a freshly cut apple. While that apple was hanging out on the branch of the tree, it was part of a living plant. But the very second it was plucked off or fell to the ground, boom, it transitioned into this once alive category. The exact same goes for a beautiful flower petal that drops onto the soil or dried leaves crunching under your feet in the autumn. So let's just quickly summarize these three official groups before we move forward. Group 1, living things. These are currently alive and doing the things living beings do. Group 2, once alive. This is for things that used to be living or are part of a living thing. And Group 3, never lived, which is for objects that are not alive now and have never ever been alive. Understanding this three-part framework is absolutely essential if you want to think like a true scientist. Section 3. The 4 life processes, the ultimate checklist. So the crucial point is, how do we know for an absolute scientific fact that something currently belongs in that very first category? How do we definitively prove it's a living thing and not just a clever illusion like our moving cloud? Well, we use this definitive 4-step checklist. We call these the life processes: nutrition, growth, movement, and reproduction. Every single living thing, whether it's the tallest tree in a giant forest or a tiny insect buzzing in your backyard, must complete these 4 life processes to survive and continue its species. Let's take a closer look at what these actually look like in the real world. Imagine a kingfisher bird soaring over a river, suddenly spotting a flash of silver below and just diving straight into the water to emerge with a fresh catch clamped right in its beak. This vividly illustrates our first life process, nutrition. All living things need food and water. Animals get their nutrition by eating plants or other animals. Plants, on the other hand, incredibly make their own food using light from the sun. But the bottom line, without nutrition, living things simply cannot survive.
Next up, let's talk about growth and reproduction. You can picture a tall giraffe standing protectively next to its young calf. All living things reproduce, meaning they make young, whether that's by giving birth, laying eggs, or making seeds. And all living things grow. Actually, just think about your own life for a second. Think about how much your face has changed over the years, or how your adult teeth came in to replace your baby teeth. Getting bigger and developing over time is a fundamental biological process of life.
And this next one brilliantly illustrates our final life process: movement. Think of a cheetah in a full sprint, running rapidly across the water. For animals, movement from one place to another is basically the most obvious sign of life. They use movement to hunt for nutrition, to find a mate for reproduction, and of course, to escape danger. It's dynamic, it's fast, and it instantly signals to our brains that the creature we're looking at is very much alive.
Section 4. Plants versus animals. Busting the myth.
Because plants don't run across the water like cheetahs, people often mistakenly believe they aren't truly living things. So let's bust that myth right now. Both animals and plants are fully living things. They just execute these four life processes very differently. If you compare them, animals move freely and quickly, whereas plants only move their parts, and they do it very, very slowly. Animals eat food, plants magically make their own food from sunlight. Animals have live young or lay eggs, plants make seeds. The checklist is exactly the same, but the methods, they're totally unique to each kingdom. If you're still not totally buying the idea of plants moving, just think about a little seedling growing in a pot. If you place it near a sunny window, over a few weeks, you will literally see its stem bend and its leaves reach directly towards the sunlight. Plants move and grow towards what they need for nutrition. Sure, they do it at a much slower pace than an animal, but that movement is undeniably happening.
And we need to call out one final related misconception right here: the idea that trees somehow aren't plants. Picture a massive tree full of bright red apples. Just because it's huge with a thick wooden trunk doesn't mean it's something else entirely. A tree has roots, a stem, which, we just call a trunk, and leaves. It makes food, it grows, it drops seeds to reproduce, and it moves its branches toward the light. A tree is absolutely a plant, and it fulfills all four life processes perfectly.
Section 5. The world around you. Your turn to classify. Let's see how this builds your overall understanding of everything around you. We started with a chaotic world where moving clouds might look alive. But by identifying specific traits, you have built the exact same structured lens that biologists use to categorize the entire planet. So I want to leave you with a quick challenge. Look around the room you're sitting in right now. Do you see a houseplant moving toward the window? A wooden desk that was once alive? Maybe a plastic lamp that never lived? Try applying this checklist to everything you encounter today. If you look closely enough, what other living illusions might you uncover in your everyday life? Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and keep thinking like a scientist.